Not only will I not recommend that you get this, I will actually go so far as to recommend that you do not get this. Stay away from this one. Oh, I'm super excited for this. Look at all these flames. Oh my goodness, that is a cool image. This one has the same fire and lighting effects on it as the Static Arts of Sephiroth from the Collector's Edition of Rebirth. So I'm interested to see how well this fits with that Static Arts of Sephiroth, because that one is, you know, half a meter tall, and this one is standing in a way that makes it lower than most other Static Arts. So I'm really eager to see how well they fit together. And obviously I will compare this to the remake Static Arts of Cloud and see if they have improved on something or if they are basically the same. And is anything missing? I remember on the remake Static Arts, one of these were missing and I had to look around for it, but it looks like everything is where it should be. This is weird. Why does he have a white butt crack? What's up with that? That's odd. But let's pull out the sword and oh, why is this so cool? What's new about this? Obviously the lighting effect, the fire effect here adds something to it, but I think there's more to it. I think it's actually the metallic paint that they have used. It's a really unique finish, and there's a lot of brown dirt or maybe rust or whatever, but also look at all this speckle. Oh, you know, I just can't wait to compare this to the remake Static Arts to see if I'm noticing new stuff or I just missed this the last time. This really takes up some horizontal space. The base itself is actually hollow. You can hear that? It's hollow and it feels like it's kind of flexing a little bit, but not too much. And as you can see at the bottom, it's completely flat, so it should stand pretty well. It's time to do some comparisons and to see how well this fits with the Sephiroth Static Arts. Let's start with the swords. The sculpts are exactly the same. The new one is a bit lighter in color, basically all over. Even the handle is lighter, and that is why I noticed this metallic speckle a bit more, because it is not as, let's call it, shiny on this one. When it comes to the statues themselves, I have been looking at them for a while, and I have noticed that they are different in almost every possible way. Like even the ears are different, the noses are different, every strand of hair is slightly different. When you look at the face, you can definitely see that the hair is a lot longer on the new one. And also a detail that I really like is that in Rebirth, the shoulder armor is a lot more smooth. It's not as bumpy as it is in Remake. And on this one, you can actually feel all the bumps and you can see all the bumps. But on the Rebirth one, it is very much smooth, just like in the game. And now we get to the pants, and I have said a bunch about Cloud's pants in Remake and Rebirth, but this is pretty interesting. I'll try to keep it short, but for some reason, this looks more like the Rebirth pants, and this looks more like the Remake pants. Because of this clean little dent here is exactly how Cloud's pants look in Rebirth, and this messy bump over here with all these weird shadows in here is exactly how Cloud looks in Remake. I think the model is more like this in both games, but this is basically the same model but with added detail. And now you can see how well Cloud fits together with Sephiroth. It is interesting that they should be at least this far away from each other to have it look like Cloud is somewhat looking at Sephiroth and not just a pillar. Like right now, he's basically looking at his shins. So you should probably have them further apart. But then again, the lighting effects on Cloud indicates that he should be somewhat close to the flames. Do they fit together? Kind of, but it should have been executed better in my opinion. Okay, now to something very important. This thing has some very devastating flaws. Not only will I not recommend that you get this, I will actually go so far as to recommend that you do not get this. Stay away from this one. It actually cannot do what it advertises. Let me start with the small stuff and I'll build up to the crucial mistakes. The white stuff that he had on his butt was easy enough to fix. I simply just used my thumb and I rubbed it. So that's a neat trick to have. If you're ever stuck with white stuff on the butt, use your thumb and rub it out. Another thing that is a crucial flaw, but not even the worst part of it. This is something that none of you have noticed probably while watching this, but look at this. That is a huge gap in Cloud's hair. It's not possible to squish them together, and it is simply a part of Cloud's hair that is not attached properly. It's not loose or anything, it's just glued on wrong. That is a flaw that shouldn't exist in such an expensive statue. Also, there's something weird with his forehead where some glue or something has been running down, so he has like a shiny spot in his forehead. It is very visible, especially with all the lights that I have. So, now to the most crucial flaw of all. This statue cannot safely hold his sword. I left this sword in for basically like an hour, and it went from around there to there within an hour. And as soon as I saw that, I did a test and I measured it. So as soon as you put the sword in, the tip of his sword is around 21 centimeters from the shelf. Within 20 minutes to half an hour, the sword is at 17 centimeters above the shelf. And eventually it goes down and down and down and down and down. And it just keeps going. So I'm afraid of what's going to happen if I leave it in for days. This is kind of the same flaw that you see with people who put the wing on Sephiroth. If you see a picture of someone who's just left the wing on, eventually it just looks like he's melting because he's not designed to have the wing. He's barely designed to have the hair on that side. Now for like a mini criticism of this Sephiroth statue. I've never had the wing in. Never ever. Never put it in once. So I don't really have this issue, luckily. But I have been thinking of why he's leaning so much as soon as you put the wing in. And I think the position of his legs is not really thought through, because all the weight of both his heavy hair and the wing is pointing that way. And for some reason, he doesn't have a foot back here. It's in the front. It's almost designed to lean eventually, if that makes any sense. So enough about that. This one has a more crucial flaw in my opinion, because you can't really display him without the sword. And you can technically display him with the sword this way, but that just looks weird. And what happens when you do that is that it eventually just leans on his knee here. And that is a way that you could save this if you have spent the money on it. But as you know, I'm not really upset that I bought this. I'm a collector. I would have gotten this even if I knew that this was going to happen and so on. And all I've done is simply been thinking about how can I display this the way that it was intended to be displayed. I was like thinking of maybe some wires to hang the sword, but now there's a little twist in this story. I actually have a potential solution, and I've had it all along, ever since I knew that this guy didn't come with flames like Sephiroth did, but still had lighting effects as if there are flames around. So what I did is that I bought some flames, and maybe some of those flames are tall enough to hold the sword up. Let's go take a look. Is this my saving grace? Oh wow, they look cool. Let's look at this one. This one should be tall enough. This is the tallest one. As you can see, it's hollow, but it's still, yeah, that's sturdy. That's plenty sturdy. And there's even like a wide part there. It fits perfectly. It's as if it was made for it. Oh wow, I saved it already. Now, do I recommend this? No. Don't buy this. But I probably recommend this. Look at this. You know when you have elemental fire on your sword? This is it.
Fill your hollow heart with rage. Let it engulf you, consume you, that you may burn your world to the ground, as I did.
And here we are. This is the display, at least for now. It is far from perfect. I don't like the fact that I need to use the flames. In my mind, this is only a temporary solution. Maybe one day I'll get something acrylic that fits in here that's more subtle and it can stand more with other things, because right now it's sort of taking up this entire square, which is not ideal at all. I'm running out of space as it is. I do like the fact that the materia so far in every statue or figure that we have of Cloud that comes with materia, the combination is always different, which kind of signals that no materia combination is canon. Whatever you use, that is what Cloud uses. I also want to touch on the pose, although as we've been through a lot, this is not a practical pose, but I do like that this is basically one of the first poses of the Ascension limit. And we have the Ichiban Kuji statue of Cloud that is actually the final pose for that same limit. So what's the pose for the next statue going to be? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be this? You know? But as you may or may not have seen, I have announced that I will not be getting the Masterline statues. Unfortunately, they are way overpriced. Even if I had that kind of money, I don't know if I'd be able to do it and so on. So in a way, we can just say that my collection will never be complete. It's just not going to happen. But I did notice that even those huge, super expensive statues, even they need supports for the sword. And if you look at the pictures that don't have supports, you can see that the swords are even bending downward there. So what the fuck's going on? Look what you did to my voice.